So you want to be a Demon Avenger. So you want to have massive HP, and then take from that HP to destroy your enemies. Then you've come to the right class. So Demon Avenger uses just pure HP. No MP, it doesn't even use any stats, although if we really want to talk about it, strength is a secondary stat, but whatever. So you want to auto-assign, or just put into the HP manually, I mean, if you want to make it harder on yourself. But basically you just want to make sure you have a lot of HP. HP gives you the most stat, or attack, damage, that stuff. So first, we have Blood Pack. And this just says the more HP you have, the more damage you do. And then your base HP gives you more damage than like the, HP that you get from like percent and stuff or equips. So yeah, that's pretty much what that does. It also allows you to ignore any stat requirement on Warrior or Demon Avenger equipment. Star Force Conversion just means that when you have more Star Force, you gain more HP, which means you gain more damage. Hyper Potion Mastery. When you use a potion, you have pretty much 2 times the effect. No, 4 times? Whatever. 200%. Exceed. So, I'm not sure about this, so you guys can leave it in the comments, because I'm not too sure. But it says for every 20 Exceed overload. I assume that means when you get to 20 Exceed, because every time you attack you get an Exceed stack, and it can go up to 20. So whenever you get to 20, the life sap that you get in first job is reduced by 1%. And then also, for every 2 stacks that you get, it's minus another 1%. So I guess every multiples of 2, it's reducing the amount you can heal per attack. Also says that if you use another Exceed skill, so this is the first job one, I'm gaining, plus 1 Exceed, but if I use another skill, then I'll gain 2. So then I got to 7, at 9, and yeah, I'm just gaining 2 every time I use a different attack. But if I keep using the same attack, then it just goes up by 1. And then also, when using the Release skill, which I just did, then it reduces the Exceed levels by half. And I don't really know what this means, but I noticed that if I were to use an Exceed skill, it usually takes me around 5 attacks to get to purple, which is the, main thing that you want. And if I use an if I use Overload Release, then it takes me, instead of 5 hits, it only takes me 3. So, yeah, I'm not too sure if that's exactly what it's talking about, but that's what I'm going to assume it does. You guys can, again, leave it in the comments if I'm mistaken. Alright, so then we have Demonic Blood, which just gives you 100% knockback resistance. And Dark Winds, which is your mobility. So you can flash jump to the left, flash jump to the right, you even have a vertical jump, and you have a glide. So pretty mobile class. In order to do them, jump, double press left, or right, of course, or jump, double press up, and then also if you press jump while in the air, or press jump, hold jump while in the air, you'll also glide. Although after a vertical jump, you have to press it twice, and then hold it down the second time. Alright, so moving on to first job, we have Exceed Double Slash. And it's pretty good, hits a lot of enemies, and when it becomes purple... Actually, what do they actually call that? Oh, they just call it Exceed. So when it's in Exceed form, the purple one, it gains more range. And it looks like it attacks faster as well, but it basically gains more range. Overload Release is what you use when you want to reset this to 0, because the more you have, the more HP it takes away. So when it's at max, you'll see that this appears, this little like shield looking thing. And if you press Overload Release, it'll use this up and reset your Exceed levels. When it resets your Exceed levels, it increases your final damage by 15% and also restores 100% of your HP. So it's really useful and you want to use this a lot. Next we have Life Sap, which is giving you a 100% chance to recover 5% HP as you hit an enemy. Now it's not like per enemy you hit, it's literally just when an attack hits. So no matter how many enemies and how many lines you do, you're just going to be healing 5% when you use the skill. And then we have another passive. Moving on to second job, we have Exceed Demon Strike. So this is another, Exceed skill, so when it becomes purple, then it goes farther. It's pretty strong. I mean, I enjoyed using it in second job. Next we have Bat Swarm. So when you press Bat Swarm, it summons some bats, and then the bats, because they're, technically doing damage, they also heal you. But they don't take HP once you summon them, so you just constantly heal yourself. It doesn't count towards the Exceed stacks, as you can see. Oh, and if you press the button again, it will make them change direction. So you can pretty much control them until they expire. Battlepack is your booster, it increases your attack speed by 2. And I believe the rest are passive, but I'll just hover over them so you can see what they do. You can pause the video if you want to read it. Alright, so moving on to third job, we have Exceed Lunar Slash, which is going to be your... what was that? It's going to be your main mobbing skill pretty much for the rest of your, Demon Avenger days. So when it's blue, of course, it, doesn't have as much range, and when it's purple, it's at its most range, maximum range. It attacks both sides of you, and it's pretty fast. I like it a lot. Also hits 10 enemies, so that's good too. Vitality Veil. When you use it, you just hold up a sword and heal your HP as you attack enemies. And then it explodes, doing, I believe, 1000% damage, which is very high, actually. But yeah, it's mainly used as a healing skill. I don't really use it, actually. I pretty much stopped using it, but I keep it on my keyboard because I really don't know. But it looks cool. Shield Charge. I consider this to be useless. I don't know, maybe you can find a way to make it useful, but basically you push enemies forward, and then after you push them... Here, let me actually put it on a key. After you push them, spikes come out and stun the enemies. I don't really like it because of how short it... how... It just doesn't cover much distance. But yeah, it's alright. No, it's not. Let me not even lie about that. I don't like it. Alright, so moving on, we have Ward Evil, which is a buff. And the only notable thing that it does is it reduces the damage you take by 30%. Then we have Diabolic Recovery, which increases your max HP by 25%, and every 4 seconds you recover 5% HP. So then we have Pain Dampener. And what this does is... Remember how there was a penalty for having too much Exceed? It decreased how much HP you could heal? Well, this reduces that by 2%. So now you can heal more. Or I guess I should say that I'll just say what it says. The penalty is reduced by 2%. So you're not, penalized for using Exceed too much. But then it also increases Exceed damage by 20%. And then we have Advanced Life Zap, which makes the before 5% HP healed now a 10% HP heal. And then instead of Overload Release giving you 15% final damage, it now gives you 25%. Oh, I should also mention that when using Overload Release, you can use it before Exceed is at the max stacks, but it'll heal less and give you less final damage in return. So make sure that you're at 20, or for me it's 18 because of a hyper. Alright, so moving on to fourth job, we have Exceed Execution. And this is your bossing skill. It attacks 2 enemies, and when it's in its final stage, instead of attacking 4 times, it hits 6 times. It also attacks faster, and has more range, I believe? Well, anyway. Then we have Nether Shield. Oh, it also ignores 30% enemy defense. So then we have Nether Shield. And this passively increases Lunar Slash's damage, so now it really is your mobbing skill. But yeah, when you use it, you summon 2 swords that attack 8 times. Or they attack 8 times before they disappear. They'll search for new enemies if there's no enemies in the map or around. And yeah, they're really useful. And of course, because they're summons, once you summon them, they stop using HP, stop stacking Exceed, so they'll just constantly heal you because of life sap. So it's always good to have them out. Has a very short cooldown as well. I believe it was only 8 seconds. No, 6 seconds. Wow, that's even better. And you can see they're doing 2 lines. Nether Slice. So you're going to be using this skill to lower enemy defense. As you can see there, this thing above their head says that their not HP. Their defense is lowered. So that's always good. Lowers it by 30%. Blood Prison. This is your bind skill. So you can always just keep the enemies still. Oh, mine is strong enough to kill them. Never mind. Well, you'll see it at Von Leon. It binds them for 10 seconds. That's good. Has a cooldown of 2 minutes, though. Defense Expertise. This makes it so that 30% of enemy defense is ignored. And, let's see. Shield Charge, which is that useless skill, and Nether Shield both do 20% extra damage. And also, Shield Charge and Nether Shield both ignore 2 times the defense, so I guess it's 60%. So yeah, now they ignore 60% enemy defense, and they do 20% more damage. You ignore a lot of defense on this class. Alright, so passive. When you use Exceed, like when your skills become purple, you have a 70% chance to have 2 extra attacks that do 200% damage. And it can hit up to 2 enemies. So I'll try to show that here. Okay, that's too strong. Here we go. So as you can see, I'm doing 2 extra hits. That like blue spark is the is that passive activated. And then we have Maple Warrior, which just gives you and your party 15% all stats, but passively gives you 15% HP. And finally, we have another passive. Alright, so let's move on to the hyper passives. So I put into all of the Exceed ones, increases Exceed skill damage. Exceed Overload is now at a max of 18 instead of 20. And the, extra hit that comes out from this is now increased by 10%. So now it's an 80% chance to happen. Didn't put it to any of the wards because it didn't seem that useful. And then for Nether Shield, I increased the damage, and I also increased the amount of attacks it does. So now instead of hitting only 8 times, it can hit 10 times. Alright, so active hypers. Forbidden Contract. This makes it so that you gain 10% damage, but for the next 30 seconds, you don't use HP to attack. You can just attack. So this is really, really useful. Like, it's so good. And the cooldown is only 75 seconds. But it's so good that you don't have to use HP. You're just attacking for free. It's great. 1,000 Swords. This is going to help you get your Exceed stacks. So, it's also a great mobbing skill. Has an 8-second cooldown. You can use it in the air if you want. Oh wait, can you? Oh, you can. Never mind. But it attacks a large area around you. And, not only attacks a large area around you, but it also gives you +5 to your Exceed. So you can use it, as a mobbing skill, but also to increase your Exceed levels. So, yeah, that's about it for their... Oh, wait. And then at level 200, you have Demonic Fortitude, which increases you and your party, as long as they're a demon class, like Demon Slayer, Demon Avenger, Resistance, or Xenon, by 10%, which also stacks with them as well. Alright, so, let me show you some of the mobbing, and then we'll get into the bossing. So the mobbing is basically just Lunar Slash, and then when you can, use, what do you call it? Diabolic, whatever. The 170 Hyper. I'm already forgetting the skill names. Alright, so, yeah, let's move on to the bossing. So when bossing as a Demon Avenger, I like to make sure that I have my nether shields out pretty much at all times. Not only because they do decent damage, but also because they can heal as they attack. So even though your Exceed is taking away HP, you're still healing with nether shield. So when I first go into a boss, I use the Slice skill so that I lower their defense, nether shield. Sometimes I bind them, you know, just to do it. And then when I see that I don't have the release buff, I use it to gain the 25% final damage. And then if you need to heal, like if you really need to heal, you can always use it again, because it will heal you for 100% HP if you're at max stacks. But let's say I use the 150 hyper, then I'm only healing, because my attacks no longer take HP, but I'm still getting life set. So anyway, I didn't really keep nether shield out all the time, which I probably should have, but I just wanted to make sure I explained that. Now, I have a quick question. Do you think that this is a typo? So the earrings that I have right now have, what, 310 HP, I believe? And I'm wondering, is it actually 10%? I remember a while back it was 10%, but they changed it to just to say 10. The ones that I have on, of course, are the Rex earrings. But these earrings have 450 HP, and they also have 2 attack. Meanwhile, the other earrings that I'm currently wearing have 300 HP, and then plus the 10, which would be 310. However, I'm starting to think that it still is percent HP, even though it's not, it says only plus. So just wondering if you agree with me there, that even the Chaos Horntail necklace would be considered percent HP and MP instead of just plus 10. So anyway, thank you for watching, and hope to see you in the next video. By the way, Demon Avenger is like the best unfunded class in the game because they only use HP, and they get a lot of stats from Star Forcing. Like a lot of damage, I mean. And they're just so strong. Anyway, enough of me ranting. Hope to see you guys in the next video. And yeah, have a nice day.